The massive council chamber stretched out like a small city. Hundreds of different alien species filled the floating seats that hung in the air around a central platform. Ambassador Taman from Earth sat in his assigned chair and looked around with wide eyes. This was his first day representing humanity at the Galactic Council. The chair next to him held a being made entirely of blue crystal. Its body caught the light and threw rainbow patterns across the walls. This was Ambassador Velnara of the Zilani people. On his other side sat something that looked like a giant praying mantis wearing golden armor. Commander Clictus of the Crix Hive nodded at Taman with what might have been friendliness. "Welcome to your first council session," Velnara said. Her voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Today, we face a serious problem. The Vorthok Empire demands 3 more star systems." Taman pulled out a small notebook and pen. He had read about the Vorthok during his flight here. They were a warrior race that looked like 8-foot-tall lizards with too many teeth. They had been conquering planets for the past 50 years. The lights in the chamber dimmed. A hologram appeared above the central platform. It showed a massive starship that looked like it was built from black metal and bad dreams. Red lights blinked along its surface like angry eyes. "The Vorthok flagship approaches our border," announced the council speaker. She was a tall, thin alien with 4 arms and silver skin. "War Chief Proctor demands to address the council." A collective shiver ran through the chamber. Several smaller species huddled closer together in their seats. Taman noticed that even the crystal beings seemed to dim their natural glow. The hologram changed to show the interior of the Vorthok ship. War Chief Proctor filled the screen. He was exactly as terrifying as the reports suggested. His scales were black as space, his eyes glowed red, and his mouth held more sharp teeth than seemed physically possible. Scars covered his face, and arms like a road map of violence. "Weak creatures of the council," Proctor growled. His voice sounded like grinding metal. "The Vorthok Empire requires 3 systems in the Outer Rim. The Hadari system, the Quellan system, and the Borax system. You have 7 rotations to evacuate all inhabitants." Whispers of panic filled the chamber. Taman leaned over to Velnara. 7 rotations means 7 days, right?" "Yes," she whispered back. "And those 3 systems hold over 40 billion people. We cannot move 40 billion people in 7 days, protested the speaker. "This is impossible." Upta showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. "Not our problem. Evacuate, or we take the systems with everyone still there. The Vorthok way is simple. Submit or be crushed." The council chamber erupted in nervous chatter. Representatives began arguing in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others suggested offering different systems instead. A few spoke of evacuation plans that would take months to complete. Min raised his hand. The gesture was so simple and human that it caught everyone's attention. The chamber fell silent. "Excuse me," Taman said in his clear, calm voice. "I have a question for War Chief Proctor." The Vorthok leader's eyes focused on the human. "What does the hairless ape want to say? Why don't we just tell you no?" The silence that followed was so complete that Taman could hear his own heartbeat. Every alien in the chamber stared at him. Some looked shocked, others looked terrified. A few looked like they might faint. Proctor's expression changed from arrogant confidence to confusion. "What did you say?" "I said no," Taman repeated. He pulled out his pen and made a note in his book. "We refuse your demand. Find somewhere else to expand." "You refuse?" Proctor's voice rose to a roar. "Do you know what happens to species that refuse the Vorthok Empire?" Taman looked up from his notebook. "You attacked them, I assume?" "We had the same problem back on Earth. Several times, actually. Some guy decides he wants to take over the world, builds a big army, makes demands. It never works out well for them. In the end, the Vorthok war chief leaned forward. His massive claws scraped against his command chair. She compared the mighty Vorthok Empire to your primitive planet conflicts. Well, yes, Taman said. He seemed genuinely puzzled by the question. I mean, the scale is different, but the principle is the same. Someone wants something that belongs to someone else. They threaten violence to get it. The threatened parties have to decide whether to give in or fight back. And you choose to fight the Vorthok Empire. Proctwias.T-Min shrugged. We have to. Though, honestly, we'd prefer you just went away and found uninhabited systems to colonize. There's plenty of empty space out there. Commander Clicktiz made a clicking sound that might have been laughter or terror. Human taming. Do you understand that the Vorthok have conquered 17 star systems? They have destroyed entire civilizations. Terrible, Taman said, with genuine sympathy. But it doesn't change anything. You can't let bullies take whatever they want just because they're big and scary. Valnara's crystal body was flickering rapidly now. The human speaks of the Vorthok Empire as if they are schoolyard bullies. Aren't they? Taman asked. That's exactly what this is. Give us your lunch money, or we'll beat you up. We dealt with this kind of thing all the time growing up. The Proctor's roar shook the communication system. The Vorthok Empire is not a schoolyard bully. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. We are death incarnate. We are the nightmare that lesser species whisper about in the dark. Timing nodded politely. That's nice. The answer is still no. The war chief stared at the human for a long moment. His red eyes seemed to be trying to understand something beyond his comprehension. You are either the bravest creature in the galaxy or the most stupid. It's probably a bit of both, Taman admitted with a smile. Most humans are. This conversation is not over, Proctor snarled. The Vorthok Empire will research these humans. We will learn your weaknesses. We will return. Sounds good, Taman said. We'll be here. The hologram cut out. The council chamber remained silent for nearly a full minute. Finally, the speaker found her voice. The Vorthok have postponed their ultimatum, she announced. They claimed they need time to study human military capabilities. Taman made another note. That's reasonable. Due diligence is important in any conflict. As the session ended and representatives began filing out, Valnara approached Taman. Her crystal form was still flickering with what he was beginning to recognize as anxiety. Human Taman, she said carefully, what exactly are your species' military capabilities? Taman closed his notebook and stood up. Oh, the usual stuff, okay? Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, chemical agents, orbital bombardment, that sort of thing. Nothing too exciting. He walked away, leaving behind a chamber full of aliens who were beginning to suspect that humans might be more dangerous than the Vorthok Empire, and the humans weren't even trying. Dr. Soros stepped off the transport shuttle and took her first breath of Crick's homeworld air. The atmosphere burned her throat slightly and made her eyes water. She pulled out a simple cloth mask from her backpack and tied it over her nose and mouth. Much better, she said to herself. Just like that hiking trip in the sulfur caves back home. The Crick's delegation that met her at the landing pad looked like giant praying mantises wearing environmental suits. Their leader, science coordinator, Zikmal, approached her with obvious concern. Dr. Sora, you should not breathe our air directly, Zikmal said through his suit speaker. The toxic levels will damage your respiratory system within minutes. Sora adjusted her simple mask and smiled. Oh, this is fine. I brought some basic gear, just in case. Your air reminds me of visiting volcanic regions on Earth. A little sulfurous, but nothing too bad. The Crick's delegation exchanged worried clicks. Their homeworld's atmosphere contained 17 different compounds that were deadly to most known species. They themselves could only survive outside their cities with full environmental protection. Perhaps you did not understand another. Crick's scientists said, our atmospheric pressure is also 3 times greater than standard. Most species require pressure suits. Sora stretched her arms and looked around at the landscape. Strange purple plants grew from yellow soil under a green sky. In the distance, geysers of acid shot into the air like fountains. The pressure's a bit heavy. Sure, feels like being underwater. But I went deep-sea diving in Earth's ocean trenches last year. This is actually easier because I can still breathe. She pulled out a handheld scanner and began taking readings. Wow, your gravity is strong too. It's about twice what I'm used to. Good thing I do CrossFit back home. Zigmal watched in amazement as the human walked around normally in conditions that would crush most species. Dr. Sora, are all humans this durable? Durable? Sora laughed. Not really. I'm probably on the weaker side, to be honest. My brother Donghai is way tougher than me. He works construction and mountain rescue. Now, that guy could probably jog in this gravity. The Cricks team led her toward their research facility. Along the way, acid rain began falling from the green sky. The Cricks immediately activated emergency shields over their environmental suits. Sora looked up at the falling drops and held out her hand. A drop hit her palm and sizzled slightly. That stings a bit. She pulled a small bottle from her pack and poured some liquid on her hand. Hand sanitizer works pretty well for mild acid burns. Learned that camping in Australia. You've been to places like this on your homeworld? Zigmal asked. Australia? Sure, lots of times. Great camping, though you have to watch out for the wildlife. Everything there wants to kill you. Spiders, snakes, jellyfish, crocodiles. Even some of the plants are deadly. Sora wiped the acid rain from her face casually. This place is actually safer. At least your acid rain doesn't have living creatures in it. They reached the research facility, which was built like a fortress to protect against a hostile environment. Sora was introduced to the research team. Dozens of Crick scientists worked behind multiple layers of protective barriers. Study our planet's ecosystem from here, explained Chief Researcher McToole. It is too dangerous to go outside for extended periods, even with full protection. Asara looked through the reinforced windows at the landscape outside. Really? It looks like a great place for field research. Mind if I take a walk later? I'd love to get some direct samples of your plant life. The entire research team froze. Several of them began clicking rapidly in their native language. Dr. Sora McToole said carefully, perhaps you do not understand. Our ecosystem contains over 200 species of predators. Many are venomous. Others are acidic. Some hunt in packs. Sounds exciting, Sora said. Are they bigger than earth bears? I had a close call with a grizzly bear once while collecting samples in Alaska. It's a scary experience, but I learned a lot about defensive posturing. Your planet has creatures called bears, Zigmal asked. Oh yeah, lots of them. Bears, wolves, big cats, sharks, venomous snakes, and spiders. Actually, that reminds me. Sora pulled out her tablet and showed them a video. This is from my last research trip to the Amazon rainforest. The video showed Sora wading through a swamp filled with creatures that looked like nightmares. She was calmly collecting water samples while things with too many teeth swam around her legs. Oh, those are crocodiles, she explained. And those smaller ones are piranha fish. They can strip meat from bone in minutes if you're not careful. The Cricks research team watched in horror as the video continued. It showed Sora casually handling venomous snakes, walking past enormous spiders, and camping in areas that looked like alien death worlds. This is your normal research environment? McToole asked, in a voice that sounded faint. One of them, Sora said. Earth has lots of different dangerous places. Deserts, Arctic regions, deep ocean, active volcanoes. You learn to adapt. She closed the tablet and looked around the facility. So what's the big research problem you're working on? Your message said something about an extinction event. The mood in the room became even more serious. Skmal activated. A holographic display showing their planet's northern continent. Every 27 years, our species faces what we call the Great Dying, he explained. Seasonal predators migrate from the polar regions. They destroy our northern breeding colonies. We typically lose 60% of our population. Asara studied the display. That's terrible. Why don't you just move the breeding colonies somewhere else? The silence that followed was so complete that Sora could hear the acid rain hitting the windows. Move them, McTool repeated. Sure, you said it happens every 27 years, right? So it's predictable. Go. And it only affects the northern colonies. Why not breed in the southern regions instead? The Krix scientists began clicking frantically among themselves. Finally, Zikmal spoke. We have never considered moving the breeding colonies. They have been in those locations for thousands of years. It is tradition. Sora nodded understandingly. I get that. Tradition is important, but not as important as not going extinct, right? On Earth, we relocate animal populations all the time to protect them from threats. You can do this, asked MIK-TUL. Well, yeah, it's basic conservation biology. When a habitat becomes dangerous, you move the population to a safer habitat. We've saved dozens of species that way. She pulled up another display on her tablet. Look, you've got perfect breeding habitat in your southern continent. Okay, same climate, same food sources, but no seasonal predator migration routes. Okay, it's an obvious solution. The research team was clicking so rapidly now that it sounded like a room full of typewriters. Chief Researcher McTool approached Sora with something that might have been awe. Dr. Sora, you have just solved a problem that has plagued our species for millennia in less than 5 minutes. Sora shrugged. Sometimes you need an outside perspective. That's why scientific collaboration is so important. As the day continued, Sora made several more suggestions that revolutionized Krik's understanding of their own world. She showed them basic water purification techniques that eliminated toxic buildup in their cities. She introduced the concept of crop rotation to improve their agricultural yields. She even suggested simple architectural changes that would better protect their buildings from acid storms. Each solution was basic common sense to her, but groundbreaking science to the Kriks. Dr. Sora, Zikmal said as the day ended, your species must be the greatest problem solvers in the galaxy. Sora laughed. Not really. We just had to get good at surviving. Earth taught us that if you don't adapt, you die. We learned to think our way out of problems. That night, as she set up her simple camping tent outside the research facility, ignoring the protests of her hosts, Sora made notes in her journal. She had no idea that her casual suggestions had just prevented the extinction of an entire species. To her, it was just another day of field research. To the Kriks, it was the day a human saved their world without even trying. Trader Jiwoo walked through the massive commercial hub of Nexus Station, carrying 2 simple duffel bags. The station was the size of a small moon and served as the galaxy's largest trading center. Thousands of different species bought and sold goods from across the known universe. Jiwoo had been trading in space for only 3 months, but he was already making more money than he had ever imagined possible. The secret was simple. He sold ordinary things from Earth that other species found extraordinary. His first stop was the beverage district. A tall, blue alien with 4 arms approached him immediately. This was a merchant Kelavash of the Tarlian Trading Guild. Human Ji Woo, Kelavash said in accented standard galactic. Do you have more of the energy stimulant? Skoo opened his first bag and pulled out a case of energy drinks. Skoo, the cans were bright red with lightning bolt designs. Got 2 cases. Of Thunderbolt this time. Same price as before. Calavash's 4 hands trembled as he took one can. This substance is incredible. One small dose keeps our workers alert for 3 full days. Our productivity has increased by 400%. Really? Ji-woo scratched his head. Back on Earth, people drink these things to stay awake during afternoon meetings. Most folks have 2 or 3 a day. The Tarlean merchant stared at him. 2 or 3 per day. That would be enough stimulant to power our entire workforce for a week, huh? Ji-woo said. Guess humans have a higher tolerance. After selling his energy drinks for the equivalent of a small fortune, Ji-woo moved to the food district. A crowd of different aliens had already gathered around his usual spot. Word traveled fast on Nexus Station. Human Ji-woo called out a crystalline being that looked like living diamond. Do you have the flavor enhancer? Ji-woo pulled out several bottles of hot sauce. Tea were ordinary bottles he had bought at a grocery store on Earth for $2 each. Here, they were worth more than rare gemstones. This one is mild, he said, holding up a bottle of medium salsa. Good for beginners. A small, furry alien raised its paw. What about the extreme version? Ji-woo hesitated. Last time he had sold hot sauce labeled as extra spicy. 3 different species had been hospitalized. He pulled out a bottle of barbecue sauce instead. This is probably better, he said. It's got some heat, but won't put you in the medical bay. The crowd pressed forward eagerly. Ji-woo had learned that most alien species had almost no tolerance for spicy food. What humans considered mild seasoning was like liquid fire to them. As he sold his earth foods, Ji-woo noticed a commotion near the medical district. Security guards were escorting a group of aliens toward the emergency treatment center. One of them was clearly intoxicated and singing loudly in a language Ji-woo didn't recognize. What happened to them? He asked a nearby merchant. Someone sold them human recreational drugs, the merchant replied. They are completely out of control. Ji-woo frowned. What kind of drugs? The mild ones? I think they called it beer. Shoes. Eyes widened. He had sold a case of beer to a group of traders yesterday. It was just regular beer. Nothing special. It's the kind of thing people drank while watching sports. How much did they drink? He asked. 1 container each, the merchant said. The effects were immediate and severe. Galactic Security is investigating. Chu made a mental note to be more careful about alcohol sales. He had no idea that substances humans consumed casually could have such dramatic effects on alien biology. His next customer was Captain Vectron of the Mercenary Guild. The large reptilian warrior approached with obvious respect. Human Ji-woo, Vectron said. My troops have been using your combat enhancement videos. They are incredible training tools. Combat enhancement videos. Ji-woo was confused for a moment. Then he remembered. Oh, you mean the action movies? Yes, the tactical simulations are beyond anything we have seen. The human warriors in these videos demonstrate fighting techniques that we thought were impossible. Ji-woo pulled out a collection of DVDs. There were movies he had bought from a discount bin at a store back home. These are just for entertainment. You know, they're not real. Vectron's eyes glowed with excitement. Not real? You mean these are training scenarios? Your species practices combat this advance for recreation. No, Ji-woo tried to explain. They're just stories. Made-up adventures. Made up. Vectron looked confused. But the human warriors in these videos survive explosions, fight multiple enemies, and use weapons with incredible skill. Yeah, but it's all fake. Special effects. And stunt doubles. Vectron studied the DVD covers. One showed a human jumping from an exploding building while firing 2 guns. Another featured a human fighting a dozen armed opponents with his bare hands. Your species creates these fantasies for entertainment? Vectron asked. Sure, we like exciting stories. The mercenary captain purchased the entire collection. As he walked away, Ji-Woo heard him talking to his lieutenant. "The humans are more dangerous than we thought," Vectran was saying. "Train their imagination for warfare. They dream of combat scenarios that exceed our reality." Ji-Woo shook his head and continued with his sales. His next area was the luxury goods district, where he had an appointment with Duchess Yilnara of the Zalani Crystal Quartz, the elegant crystal being greeted him in her private trading suite. "Human Ji-Woo, I trust you have brought the psychological warfare materials." "The what now?" Ji-Woo asked. "The terror induction recordings. You called them horror movies." Ji-Woo pulled out a small stack of DVD cases. "Oh, these, dear. I got some. Good ones this time. Classic zombie films, a couple of ghost stories, and one about a haunted house." Duchess Yilnara examined the covers with fascination. "The Zalani High Command has classified these as advanced psychological weapons. The fear responses they generate are beyond anything in our arsenal. They're just scary movies," Ji-Woo said. "People watch them for fun. For fun." The Duchess's crystal form flickered with what might have been disbelief. "Your species voluntarily subjects itself to these terror scenarios." "Well, yeah, it's exciting. Get your heart pumping." "Human Ji-Woo, are you saying your people enjoy being terrified?" Ji-Woo thought about it. "I guess so. We like the adrenaline rush. It's like a safe way to experience danger." The Duchess paid him enough credits to buy a small starship. As she carefully locked the DVDs in a security case, she shook her head. "A species that enjoys terror," she murmured. No wonder the Vorthok postponed their invasion. Ji-Woo's final stop was the information district, where he met with data broker Sin-Ka. The insectoid alien was one of the galaxy's leading experts in intelligence gathering. Human Ji-Woo, Sin-Ka clicked. "The competitive eating recordings have caused quite a stir in military circles." Competitive eating. Ji-Woo was starting to recognize the pattern. "You mean the hot dog eating contest videos?" "Yes. Military analysts across the galaxy are trying to understand the strategic purpose of this training." Ji-Woo pulled out his tablet and showed Zinko a video of a hot dog eating championship. "It's just a contest. It's cute. People compete to see who can eat the most food in a set time." Zinka watched the video with growing amazement. "These humans consume enough food for a week in just minutes. Is this preparation for extended siege warfare?" "No, it's just for fun. And prizes. The winner gets like $10,000. Your species trains its digestive systems for combat purposes and rewards the victors with currency." "It's not combat training," Ji-Woo protested. "T's just a weird competition." But Zenko was already making notes. "Humans prepare for resource scarcity through consumption competitions. This explains their casual attitude toward survival challenges." As Ji-Woo left Nexus Station with his bags full of credits, he reflected on the strange reactions of his customers. Everything humans did for fun seemed to terrify or amaze other species. Meanwhile, in the station's security office, Captain Hyansu was having his own strange day. He had stopped by to resolve a minor trade dispute, but somehow ended up mediating a century-long territorial conflict between two alien species. Hyansu said to the representatives of both species, "Why don't you just split the system in half? Each side gets 3 planets. You share the asteroid mining rights, and everybody wins." The two species, who had been at war for generations, stared at him. The solution was so simple that neither side had ever considered it. "Split it in half?" asked Ambassador Rilvan of the Corinth Republic. "Sure. Draw a line down the middle. It's not complicated." Minister Jack Tall of the Hegemony looked confused. "But we have been fighting over this system for 100 years. That's a lot of wasted time and resources," Hyansu said. "This way, nobody has to fight anymore, and everyone gets something." 3 hours later, both species signed a peace treaty. Captain Hyansu walked away, wondering why aliens made everything so complicated. Back on Nexus Station, The various alien species were beginning to realize that humans had accidentally become the most influential traders, mediators, and suppliers in the galaxy, and the humans still thought they were just making a living. War Chief Proctor stood on the command deck of his flagship, staring at the blue and green planet that hung in space before him. Earth looked peaceful from this distance. Too peaceful for a world that housed the galaxy's most mysterious species. Report. He growled to his intelligence officer. Commander Grixnell approached with obvious nervousness. War Chief, our research into human capabilities has produced disturbing results. Disturbing how? Sir, we intercepted thousands of their entertainment transmissions. What we found suggests that humans have been training their entire population for total warfare since childhood. Proctor's red eyes narrowed. Show me. The main screen activated, displaying a collection of human movies and television shows. Grixnell pointed to the first image. These are called action movies. They appear to be training scenarios where human warriors demonstrate impossible combat abilities, surviving explosions, fighting multiple enemies, using advanced weapons. Proctor watched clips of humans jumping from buildings, engaging in high-speed vehicle combat, and defeating armies single-handedly. These are their training programs. It gets worse, sir. They have something called video games. It's interactive combat simulations where civilians practice warfare in their spare time. Children as young as 5 years old participate in these battle training exercises. The screen showed footage of humans playing various video games, strategy games where they commanded entire armies, first-person shooters where they practiced marksmanship, puzzle games that appeared to be tactical planning, exercises. Their children trained for war as recreation, Proctor asked. Yes, sir. And they have competitive leagues where teams battle each other using these simulations. The winners receive monetary rewards and social status. Proctor's claws scraped against his command chair. The Vorthike Empire had always prided itself on being a warrior culture, but they had never seen anything like this systematic preparation for combat. What about their actual military capabilities? Kate demanded. Grixnell's expression became even more worried. Okay, sir, we were able to access their historical databases. The information is concerning. The screen changed to show Earth's military history. Grixnell began reading from his reports. Okay, in the past century alone, humans have engaged in 2 global conflicts involving their entire species. They called these world wars. The weapons used were, he paused, checking his notes, nuclear, chemical, and biological. Nuclear weapons. Proctor leaned forward. They have split-atom technology. Not just split-atom, sir. They have fusion bombs, neutron weapons, and something called hydrogen bombs. According to our analysis, they possess enough nuclear weapons to destroy their own planet several times over. The war chief felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. They would destroy their own world. Apparently, sir. They call it mutually assured destruction. If anyone attacks them with nuclear weapons, they will respond by destroying everything, including themselves. Proctor stared at the peaceful-looking planet. A species willing to commit suicide rather than surrender was not something the Vorthok Empire knew how to handle. Continue the report, he said quietly. Yes, sir. They also possess biological weapons capable of targeting specific genetic markers, chemical weapons that can kill through skin contact. And according to their entertainment media, they are working on something called antimatter bombs. The screen showed more clips from human movies, scientists in laboratories, explosions that consumed entire cities, and heroes casually discussing world-ending technologies. Sir, Grixnell continued, we also intercepted educational broadcasts. They teach their young about nuclear physics, genetic engineering, and quantum mechanics in their basic schooling systems. They teach children to build weapons of mass destruction. It appears so, sir. What we consider forbidden knowledge, they consider elementary education. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Yonji was giving a presentation to the Galactic Science Council via holographic transmission. She stood in her laboratory at Seoul National University, completely unaware that her words were being monitored by Vorthok Intelligence. "Good morning, colleagues," Dr. Yonji said cheerfully. "Today, I want to discuss our recent progress in stellar engineering projects." The alien scientists in the council chamber leaned forward with interest. Stellar engineering was theoretical science for most species. Only the most advanced civilizations had even attempted to manipulate stars. As you can see from this diagram, Dr. Yunji continued, pointing to a holographic display. "We've successfully moved a small star approximately 2 light-years using controlled gravity manipulation." Shot whispers filled the council chamber. Moving stars was considered impossible by most galactic civilizations. "The process is actually quite simple," Dr. Yunji explained. "You create artificial gravity wells using dark matter manipulation, then guide the star along the path you want. It's like rolling a ball down a hill, except the hill is made of curved spacetime." She spoke about stellar manipulation the way someone might describe rearranging furniture. "Our next project involves creating an artificial solar system. We plan to capture several rogue planets and position them around our relocated star. It should take about 50 years to complete." The alien scientists were frantically taking notes. What this human described casually would require their entire civilizations, working together for thousands of years. "We're also experimenting with black hole creation," Dr. Yunji added. "Small ones, of course, just for waste disposal and energy generation. Very safe and controlled." On the Vorthok flagship, Commander Grixnell was updating his report with growing panic. "Sir, the humans appear to have mastered technologies that we believed were impossible. They manipulate gravity, create black holes, and move stars as if these were routine engineering projects." Brocktor's voice was barely a whisper. "They can create black holes?" "Yes, sir. And they use them for garbage disposal." Back on Earth, young student Minho was participating in a cultural exchange program with alien students. He was enthusiastically explaining human education to a group of horrified alien teenagers. "Yeah, we learn about nuclear fusion in high school physics," Minho said to his alien audience. "It's not that hard once you understand the basic principles. You just need to get hydrogen atoms hot enough and under enough pressure to overcome electromagnetic repulsion." A young Crix student raised a trembling claw. "Your species teaches nuclear fusion to children." "Cal, teenagers mostly. We usually cover nuclear fission first, then fusion." "Oh, and we learn about genetic engineering in biology class." CRISPR, gene editing, is pretty cool. Last semester, we modified bacteria to produce different colored proteins." The alien students looked at each other with growing terror. On their worlds, such knowledge was restricted to the highest levels of government and military. "What about quantum mechanics?" asked Azalani, crystal being. "That's in advanced physics. Super interesting stuff. Quantum entanglement, probability waves, the uncertainty principle. Our teachers showed us how to calculate the probability of quantum tunneling through energy barriers." Minho pulled out his tablet and showed them his homework. "This week, we're studying the theoretical principles behind matter transportation. You know, teleportation. It's mostly math, but the concepts are fascinating." The alien students were too shocked to respond. Their species considered matter teleportation to be impossible fantasy. Humans taught it to their children as homework. Back on the Vorthok flagship, War Chief Brocktor was receiving his final intelligence briefing. "Sir," Commander Griggs now reported, "our analysis is complete. Humans represent a threat level beyond our current classification system." "Explain." "They possess weapons that can destroy planets. They manipulate fundamental forces of the universe as routine engineering. They teach their young forbidden knowledge as basic education. And most concerning of all, They treat these capabilities as normal and unremarkable. Proctor looked at Earth one more time. The peaceful planet seemed to mock him with its calm appearance. A species that can destroy stars and considers it mundane, he muttered. What kind of warriors did we almost challenge? Sir, there's one more thing. According to our cultural analysis, humans have never used their full capabilities in warfare. Even their most devastating conflicts were limited by their own moral restraints. They hold back. Yes, sir. They could have ended their world wars in days using their most advanced weapons, but they chose not to. They possessed the power of gods, but exercised the restraint of ... What, Commander? I don't know what to call it, sir. No warrior, culture in the galaxy has ever shown such self-control. Proctor made his decision, signaled the fleet, or were returning to Vorthok space. Sir, what about the invasion? There will be no invasion, Commander. We're dealing with a species that can destroy reality itself and chooses not to. The Vorthok Empire does not wage war against gods. As the Vorthok fleet turned away from Earth, the humans below continued their daily lives, completely unaware that they had just prevented an invasion through the simple act of being themselves. They weren't trying to be intimidating. They were just living normally. And that was the most terrifying thing of all. 6 months had passed since the Vorthok Empire's retreat from Earth. Ambassador Taman sat in his office at the Galactic Council headquarters, staring at a pile of requests on his desk. Every day brought new problems that other species wanted humans to solve. His assistant, a friendly Zalani crystal being named Velterra, floated into the room carrying more documents. Ambassador, she said, the Regalian Trade Federation is asking for your help with their economic crisis. Also, the Andorian Republic wants human advisors for their military reform, and the entire Zeta sector is requesting mediation for their border disputes. Taman rubbed his temples. How did this happen? 6 months ago, nobody had even heard of humans. You told the Vorthok Empire no, Velterra replied simply. No one had ever done that before. Through his office window, Taman could see the massive council chamber where representatives from hundreds of species were gathering. Today's session was supposed to address the human problem, though Taman still wasn't sure what problem they were talking about. The session began with Council Speaker Silnara addressing the assembly. Her forearms gestured dramatically as she spoke. Fellow beings, we face an unprecedented situation. In 6 months, humans have fundamentally changed how our galaxy operates. Species that have warred for centuries are now at peace. Economic problems that seemed impossible are being solved. Technologies we thought were fantasy are becoming reality. A representative from the Krix hive stood up. The humans saved our species from extinction with a suggestion that took 5 minutes to explain. 5 minutes to solve a problem that had plagued us for thousands of years. Another voice called out from the crowd. Human traders have revolutionized our economy. Our products are so advanced that we can barely understand how they work. Advanced, Taman muttered to himself. They're selling energy drinks and hot sauce. Commander Clictus of the Krix approached the speaking platform. The human called Dr. Sora taught us more about our own planet in 1 day than our scientists had learned in decades. She treated our deadly environment like a vacation destination because it probably reminded her of Australia, Taman said quietly. The session continued with testimony from dozens of species. Each one told stories of humans solving impossible problems with casual suggestions. The theme was always the same. Humans approached galactic Leveil crises like minor inconveniences. Finally, War Chief Proctor of the Vorthok Empire requested permission to address the council. A tense silence fell over the chamber as the massive reptilian warrior took the platform. Fellow beings, Proctor began, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. The Vorthok Empire has served as this galaxy's military might for over a century. We have conquered 17 star systems. We have faced every known form of warfare. He paused, looking directly at Taman. 6 months ago, we encountered humans for the first time, expected to find another species to conquer. Instead, we found something that challenged everything we believed about power and strength. The chamber was completely silent now. Humans possess weapons that can destroy stars. They manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. They teach their children knowledge that we consider too dangerous for our highest military commanders. They do all of this while treating it as normal daily life. Broktor's red eyes swept across the assembly. But the most terrifying thing about humans is not their power. It is their restraint. They could have ended every conflict in this galaxy within days of joining it. Instead, they choose to help their enemies become allies. They solve problems instead of creating them. He looked directly at Taman again. The Vorthok Empire formally requests to join the human coalition. Taman stood up quickly. The what now? The human coalition? Broktor repeated. The alliance of species that follows human leadership. We don't have a coalition, Taman protested. We're just trying to help people solve problems. Duchess Yonara of the Zelani Crystal Quartz rose from her seat. Ambassador Taman, 47 species have already declared their allegiance to human guidance. You may not call it a coalition, but that is what it has become. Taman looked around the chamber in confusion. Representatives from dozens of species were nodding in agreement. He had been so busy responding to individual requests for help that he hadn't noticed the bigger picture. We don't want to rule anyone, he said. We just want to be helpful neighbors. That is exactly why you must lead us, said Merchant Kelavash of the Tarlean Trading Guild. Every other dominant species in galactic history has ruled through fear or force. Humans ruled through competence and kindness. We're not ruling anything, Taime insisted. Dr. Yunji's voice came through the communication system from Earth. She was attending the session via hologram from her laboratory. Sorry I'm late, she said cheerfully. I was just finishing up our latest project. We've successfully created a stable wormhole network that should cut travel time between sectors by 90%. The entire council chamber erupted in amazed chatter. Faster than light travel was the holy grail of galactic civilization. It's really not that complicated, Dr. Yunji continued. You just need to fold space-time at quantum junction points while maintaining temporal stability. Should have the network operational next month. She spoke about revolutionizing galactic transportation the way someone might discuss installing a new subway system. Oh, and Dr. Sora wanted me to mention that her ecological restoration project is ahead of schedule. She's already fixed the atmospheric problems on 12 dead worlds. Turns out, most of them just needed basic terraforming techniques. Taman stared at the hologram. Yenji, how many impossible things have we accomplished this week? Impossible? Dr. Yunji looked confused. None of this is impossible. It's just engineering. Though, I suppose, the artificial gravity generators were a bit tricky to calibrate. Meanwhile, on Earth, student Minho was video chatting with his alien study group. What had started as a cultural exchange had become an informal education revolution. So, for next week's assignment, Minho said to his alien classmates, we need to design a theoretical propulsion system using quantum mechanics principles. Remember, the goal is to achieve faster than light travel without violating causality. His alien study partners looked at each other with a mixture of terror and excitement. Their species' greatest scientists considered such projects impossible. Human teenagers treated them as homework. Minho asked his Crix friend Zakral, is it normal for human students to casually design technologies that could reshape galactic civilization? Well, yeah, Minho replied. That's what science class is for. learning how to solve problems and make things better. Back on Nexus Station, Trader Ji Woo was having his own strange day. He had arrived with his usual cargo of Earth products, only to find that he no longer needed to sell anything. Representatives from major corporations were offering him exclusive contracts just for the right to distribute human goods. "Mr. Ji Woo," said Director Zen Ka of the Galactic Commerce Authority, "we would like to offer you the position of Chief Human Trade Representative." "That sounds very official," Ji Woo said nervously. "I'm just a guy who sells stuff." "Exactly. Your casual approach to commerce has revolutionized our entire economic system. Species that have been locked in trade disputes for centuries are now cooperating to access human products." Captain Hyansu faced a similar situation. He had returned to space expecting to resume his normal shipping routes, only to discover that he had been appointed as the official human military liaison. "I don't understand," he told Admiral Vectron of the Mercenary Guild. "I just suggested that people tried talking instead of fighting, and it worked," Vectron replied. "Every conflict resolution technique you have demonstrated has been more effective than our most advanced military strategies." As the day progressed, more reports came in from across the galaxy. Human engineers were solving infrastructure problems on dozens of worlds. Human scientists were sharing technologies that advanced entire civilizations by centuries. Human diplomats were ending conflicts that had raged for millennia, and every human involved considered it a normal day at work. Dr. Sora sent a message from her field research station. "Hey everyone, just wanted to update you on the ecological restoration project. Turns out you can reverse desertification pretty easily if you just adjust the water cycle and reintroduce the right plant species." Who knew? The message was broadcast to the entire Galactic Council. Environmental scientists across the galaxy realized that humans had just solved climate change for entire planets using techniques they considered basic conservation biology. As the session ended, Ambassador Taman found himself surrounded by representatives from hundreds of species. All of them wanted human guidance for their problems. "This is ridiculous," he said to Velterra. "We're not trying to take over the galaxy." "I know," she replied. "That is what makes you so dangerous." "Dangerous, Ambassador. Your species has conquered the galaxy through competence. You solve every problem you encounter. You share your knowledge freely. You treat impossible challenges as minor inconveniences. And you do it all while insisting that you were just trying to help." Taman looked down at the representatives, still waiting to speak with him. "So what happens now?"